Hi everyone. So I've got a few days off, and as I like to do when I've got time off, I've gone out into the bush. I might move around a little bit, and I apologize in advance. There's mosquitoes out, and they're pretty abundant. So I might have to move around a bit and swat here and there. Also, what I like to do when I've got a little bit of time off is actually catch up on making a few videos. I've actually made a bunch of videos. Not all of them are uploaded because of my ISP, but I'll try and get some of them uploaded in the next little while. Today's video, I actually just finished recording a video, a hashtag message to feminists, and I've been thinking a lot about some of these issues. I wish I didn't have to, but they seem to be ever present. And I want to take a moment quickly to give a shout out to Janice Fiamengo. Really appreciate your work that you've been doing recently. You're a very important voice out there. I've been thinking a lot about equality and egalitarianism and all of these different things and what they actually mean. And what I would call myself, because I've struggled with this idea in the past. I've struggled with the idea of being an egalitarian. Because egalitarian is not reasonable. And when I say that, I mean it's not rational. It does not comport with our experience with reality. And I've said before that I think that people should have equality of opportunity. This is my way of struggling through this idea that, yes, we should be treated equally. In other words, we shouldn't be discriminated against based on arbitrary metrics. But that true equality can't exist, obviously. I don't believe in equality of outcome. That's impossible. And there's no way to enforce an equality of opportunity without actually penalizing certain people, without discriminating against people who would otherwise be successful, etc., etc. And that's why I've said equality of opportunity, which is a way of saying that we can't all have equality of opportunity because it's just based on, there's geographical limitations, there's physical limitations, there's family history limitations or benefits that a person might have in their experience that are going to alter their access to opportunity. And I don't think that those things can be corrected for. I think at some degree, in some ways, you're dealt the hand you're dealt. And some of the most admirable people I've witnessed in my life are people who have actually been dealt a difficult hand and have done it anyway. That's, to me, the most admirable thing. Of course, conversely, the least admirable thing are people who bitch and whine while they sit on their ass complaining that they're being, oppressed or marginalized or something, because there are plenty of oppressed and marginalized people who've just gone and done it anyway. And that's really something respectable. That's not to say that we shouldn't seek to minimize oppression and marginalization, especially based, again, on arbitrary metrics. I can see marginalizing someone who chooses to do nothing. Should be marginalized. They're choosing that outcome. If they were out in the wilderness, Mother Nature would marginalize them for them. But equality of opportunity is basically a way of saying we shouldn't hold people back unnecessarily based on arbitrary metrics. That you shouldn't discriminate against someone based on race, gender, sexual orientation, social status, political affiliations, religious affiliations, etc., etc. That their merit should be what propels them. And you should treat people sort of indifferently. And this is how I've come to the decision to label myself an indifferentialist. And this is thanks to another YouTuber by the name of Francis Roy. He mentioned at one point, and this has resonated with me throughout since then, even though I've struggled to call myself an egalitarian and that it believes in equality of opportunity, he said, the most I can offer you is my indifference as it relates to these arbitrary characteristics that don't really dictate who a person is and what their potential is and who they really are as a person. Race, gender, etc., etc., etc. And I think that's the key. Indifference, at least insofar as some of those characteristics might not form an integral part of whatever it is the person is being considered for, but I kind of got to think that there are very few instances of that. I mean, why someone's gender or sexual orientation or sexual identity should form part of the decision-making alongside or even over their past performance or their skill set for most jobs is beyond me. And so I think indifference And along the same lines, what actually impresses me the most about certain people is when they employ indifference to their own situation as well. When people are indifferent to themselves in that regard. I posted a video to my Google Plus feed yesterday. It's a woman who rides a 1973, I think it's a 175 Honda motorcycle, and she ended up becoming fanatic about motorcycles and about racing, and actually had her own rider's school, like a rider's safety and performance school. I ended up actually instructing for the military. She was instructing the instructors. She was a boxer too. And what struck me about her is I didn't hear any of this narrative about women can do anything a man can do, or women are oppressed, or any of that. She was motivated by her own passions, and she just went and did the thing. So to some degree, she was indifferent, I think. She didn't have to load herself up with a bunch of narratives about what she's going after. She just went and did the thing. And I find that to be the most admirable. Not only when someone can treat someone else with indifference, but actually when they can treat themselves with indifference. Again, to those arbitrary characteristics that don't form really a meaningful part of someone's capabilities, their wishes, their level of dedication, etc., etc. And so there you have it. I'm an indifferentialist. Certainly as it relates to assessing the value of another person, whether it's for a specific task, workplace environment, that sort of thing, or their contribution to a discussion, or any other value-based judgments, that I'm indifferent to those arbitrary characteristics. I'm more interested in the content, the substance of what the person brings to the table. And most certainly in the realm of human rights and human dignity and respect as earned rather than as assessed by these arbitrary characteristics. I think that indifference more closely reflects my personal view on equality and how things should work in a merit-based system under a voluntaristic framework, while simultaneously doing away with this concept of equality of outcome, which is impossible and I don't think can be instituted in a way that doesn't then discriminate against certain other people. I would be very interested to know what you think. Thanks as always for watching.